Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to another video on high altitude investing. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys all about Elliott waves and the Fibonacci relations. This is going to be super useful because Elliott's and Fibonacci always have relationships, and if you check them, then you can confirm that you have the correct Elliott wave count. I also figured out how to do Fibonacci with the logarithmic chart, which is something that a lot of people don't know how to do, and something that I actually looked to figure out how to do for a long time in my trading career and finally figured it out. So this is something not many people know how to do on the internet in general, and will be very, very useful for checking your Elliott waves to make sure they are correct. Make sure that you guys hit that like button for me right now, as well as the subscribe button, because I'm dedicated to posting 5 videos a week to keep you guys updated in the cryptocurrency markets all through 2020. So without further ado, let's get straight into the analysis. So this is Bitcoin on CoinMarketCap, and if you guys could go ahead and share that video for me right now, that would be really awesome. I'm trying to get 150 likes on this video. That is my goal. So let's just go ahead and take the Fibonacci tool. Now normally people would take the Fib retracement tool and you'd go from the low to the high, and then you'd use that to calculate your Fibonacci. Now the thing with, you still can do that, and it's still useful to understand the linear Fibonacci ratios even when you're looking at a logarithmic chart. But if you actually take the Fib channel tool and then you use this instead, it allows you to draw the Fibonacci in terms of the logarithmic chart. So this means that it doesn't get stretched all weird with the scales of the log chart. So this is very, very, very useful when you're looking at your Elliott waves and when you're looking at your relationships, because then you can know what your Fibonacci relationships are in correspondence with your Elliott waves. So with Bitcoin here, we can see that on the big time frame, if you're an Elliottician, you know that there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave and an ABC correction. By the way, you guys, I'm going to be hosting another webinar very soon, so make sure that you check in the description box and join the Discord group so that you'll get notified when I actually do that. I'll probably post a video as well, but that's going to be the best way. And I will be going all through Elliott Wave series, teaching you guys a bunch of free stuff. And then at the very end of it, I will be offering a very special offer for my Elliott Wave Power Series course that teaches all of this stuff in detail. So this right here is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. And we can see that because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure. As you can see, the rule of Elliott Wave says that wave 2 is typically 50% or the 618 or the 786 or the 88% or 85% of wave 1. I usually use 786 instead of 76.4, and I usually use 88% rather than 85.4 personally, because those are the ones I find work well in crypto. But either way, very, very similar to this chart here. Shout out to whoever made this. I'm not sure who did, but it's very, very useful to see these relationships. And then we can go back over here and we can be like, okay, well, wave 2 is supposed to be reaching the 50% or the 618. So let's take that tool right here and we'll go from the peak. With this tool, it's actually backwards, so you have to go from the peak down if you want to get the 786 on the bottom of the chart. And then you really got to line up on the left-hand side here, make sure that this is completely vertical so you can line it up. And as you can see, this is the 618 Fibonacci retracement right here, this kind of green color, greenish blue, turquoise, and the price of Bitcoin in that 2 wave retraced perfectly onto the 618 Fibonacci retracement. So that's really neat. We have the relation between the 1 and the 2 wave, and everything is lining up perfectly. Now that 3 wave says that it goes to the 1,618 or the 2,618 of wave 2. So this wave 2 to the wave 3. Let's see if we can actually get these charts to pull up here. Oops, you actually want to go from the bottom now. I'll delete this one since we already know that it tested the 618. So the 2 wave perfectly tested the 618. Remember that. Now we go from the low of the 2 wave, and then we go to the peak of the 1 wave. And why do we do that? Well, we go from the low of the 2 wave to the peak of the 1 wave because That is how you would measure the two-wave Fibonacci retracement or relation. This is an extension. And as you can see, the 1618 or the 2618 of wave 2. So that means that the whole size of wave 2 is measured just like we did from here to here. This is wave 2. The length of wave 2 is measured, and we get our Fibonacci extensions from that. And as you can see, the 2618 was perfectly tested on the 3-wave, and then we rejected off of that and started a correction for the 4-wave in this cycle. So let's go ahead and check out where the 4-wave is supposed to be in this story. So far, this right here is perfectly on the 618. So we have this meeting the 618 perfectly. This is the 2618. So we actually have a perfect relation inside of our extensions as well. So it's extending to the same spots it's supposed to. And now wave 4, what is wave 4 supposed to be? Let me just add a dot right there. Wave 4 is supposed to be between the 382 or the 618 of wave 3. So what do? Again, you guys, we go from the peaks of wave 3 and we come down to the bottom and we line everything up. So we've got a very, very even chart here. I like to make sure everything's perfect. So we go from wave 3 down to wave 2, and that is the full size of the 3-wave. And as you can see, it says wave 4 is typically the 382 of wave 3. So that's why you're measuring the length of the 3-wave. And yes, you have to start from the top and go down again because of the fact that you want your 786 to be on the bottom instead of the top of the chart. And look at that. This is the 382 Fibonacci retracement, exactly what a wave 4 is supposed to do. So it's a 382 of the 3-wave. So let's just go ahead and draw that in, dot 382. Okay, now everybody's like, wow, this is amazing. Bitcoin is following the Fibonacci relationships perfectly. And yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. In fact, it is purely art how well the relationships are matching on this chart. So let's continue. As you can see, the 5th wave goes all the way to, let's see, the 5th wave goes to 123% of wave 4. Also the 1618. This one says 123.6, but there's other charts that say the 1618, and they're so close, they're so similar that you could probably use either, but I personally use the 1618. So there's a couple different graphs you can use. The one I posted on my Twitter actually shows that it is the 1618 of wave 4 instead of 1236. But like I said, those are going to be so similar in price that you could use either. So let's go over and let's check and see. So that is of wave 4, you guys. So again, now we got to do our little trick where we start on the bottom and then we measure the size of wave 4. And the 1618 of wave 4 is where we should see the 5-wave go. Now, does that mean it will stop at the 1618? Maybe. It could definitely stop here. But that's where the wave is supposed to go. So let's just go ahead and take this and we'll draw 1.618. And we'll want to make sure that we get that dot in there. Okay, then there's our 1618 Fibonacci extension. Okay, now people are like, that is so cool. What can we do from here? Well, we know Elliott wave theory has waves within waves. So in between the 1 and the 2 wave, there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ABC. You can see the ABC between the 1 and the 2. You can see the correction between the 3 and the 4. So we have structure in the market inside of each wave. So let's go ahead and take this, move here, and let's see where the 1 wave stops. Now, if we ignore the wicks, now there's wicks down here. If we ignore the wicks, this was the 618 fib retracement. So again, wave 1 and then wave 2 drops between the 618 very often. But it can still go down to the 786 and even the 88, even though this chart says 764 and 85.4. This is just a little bit different than the ones I use, but it doesn't really matter. You get the point. So this right here is basically between the 618 and the 786 relationship. Super, super cool. It's following Elliott wave theory perfectly. And so then we can take that and we can draw another 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave. Personally, that 3 wave should go to the 618 of the 1 and the 2, and that will put the 3 wave at just above the all-time high at around 30,000 per coin. And then that 4 wave just cannot retrace below that 1. That would invalidate the wave structure. But that 5th wave is definitely coming in the markets, and that 1618 price point is over 50,000 per coin. So there is Fibonacci relationships, there's Elliott wave relationships. We can go and we can type this in as well. Apparently I'm in caps lock and I accidentally double clicked, but there's a good thing that Google is really, really good at this. And here's the other one that I was talking about, and this is the one that shows that the wave 4, see how this one says wave 4 is 123.6 of wave 4, and this one says wave 4 is 1618 of wave 4. That's just because different people use slightly different fib retracements, but for me I usually use the standard, the 786, the 88%, the 1618. I don't adjust it and get all fancy with these 1, 2, 3, 6s, 7, 6, 4s, and A5.4s. Maybe at some point I will if I do enough forward testing and back testing and find that those relations work a little bit better. But for now with crypto, I really like the standard 786, 88%, 618, and 1618. So if you want this chart as well, you can either pause the video right now and save those relationships, or you can go to Google and you just type in Elliott wave relation and it will show the Fibonacci relationships inside of Elliott waves that you can expect for the market. So that's kind of why I'm so excited about this big picture Bitcoin cycle. You can go on the BLX as well and on the Bitstamp chart, and as long as you're looking at the other potentials, because it can go to the 786, the 85%, as long as you're not only worried about the 618 and you're open-minded to the other potentials, you can also find Fibonacci relationships on the logarithmic chart on Bitcoin on more than just the coin market cap data that goes even further back than this. So it's not just this chart that it matches. And I've spent a lot of time looking at these relationships because I was extremely excited to find them, considering the fact that I have been using Fibonacci on a linear chart and using these same relationships for a really long time, using the linear chart and the linear Fibonacci instead of the logarithmic. But when you go to that log chart, it gives you that big picture view. And I'm a big picture investor and trader. So this is what I really capitalize on the most. So it gives me a lot of value to be able to do the Elliott waves and the Fibonacci even on the logarithmic chart. And that's why this trend-based, not the trend-based fib time, that's why this fib channel is so useful, is because it allows you to do that Fibonacci even on the logarithmic, and it keeps that chart from being all stretched weird and then having the relationships all skewered. So that's kind of my video for the day. I hope that it was useful and good and understanding for you guys. You learned something new. Maybe you haven't used Elliott waves with Fibonacci before. Maybe you never knew that there was relationships. Study this stuff. This is how you validate your wave counts, how you make sure that you're counting everything properly. And it's just extremely useful to be able to back check your wave counts and have an extra degree of confidence in those counts, and also be able to make better entries and exits because you are getting in on the market so early that it allows you to buy those fib retracements perfectly and enter right on the Fibonacci relationships when other people would be getting into the market late. And so that's why it's so useful. There is one more tool on here on TradingView instead of charts.cointrader.pro. By the way, both of these have the fib channel tool, and to switch to log chart, it's over here in the bottom right. But on this one, you can also use this fib extension tool, which is easier than having to take this tool right here and flip whether you're going from the top down to the bottom or the bottom up to the top. Instead, you can just type in your Elliott waves right here, and you can type in the Fibonacci relationships perfectly, and you can check to see how those play out. And so, let's just call this all a big 1 and a 2 wave. So if we wanted to call this all a big 1 and a 2 wave, you double click on this, you go to the settings. This is a free, you can just Google log fib extension. And this is a free script that you can add to your trading view. And we just type in the wave 0. We kind of ignore that wick. Wave 0 is about 190. Wave 1 is going to be that $20,000 mark at the top of the market. And then wave 2, of course, is going to be the correction at around 3.2 thousand. So I'm just going to type in 3,200. And that right there is the Fibonacci relationships, even on the logarithmic chart. And so that is like a 1-to-1 extension on the log chart. This is a 1,618 extension on the log chart. So it just gives you a logarithmic extension. And one last thing before I go, guys, because this has just been so exciting, I just have to share as much as I can about what I've been learning about this stuff, is it actually is very, very useful to check these Fibonacci relationships on the logarithmic. And that's something a lot of people don't understand, because you can even go to like the Dow Jones, and you can find the Dow Jones and you can go, oh wow, the Dow Jones, we see a 1-2 Elliott wave structure here. So let's take this, let's type in the settings. This 0 wave is at $42. The one, oops, don't want to close out of your settings. The 0 wave is at $42. The 1 wave is at $192. And the 2 wave is at about $92. And cool, that's all working. Now let's turn it and make it visible again. And then you can see, so that's a 1 and a 2 wave. Well, where is the 3 wave supposed to go? It's supposed to go to the 1,618 Fibonacci extension. You guys, look at that. 3 wave, 1,618 Fibonacci extension. This is perfect. 1, 2, 3. How amazing is that? It's so cool that there's relationships on the logarithmic as well. So that's the log fib extension. It's a free script you can add. If you don't have it, you can still use the fib channel tool, and instead you just have to start from this low, and then you would go to this peak right here, and that's going to give you the fib extension relationships. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in today's video. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Make sure you hit that like button for me right now, as well as the subscribe button, because I'm dedicated to uploading videos just like this one all through 2020. Make sure you join the Discord. I will be doing a webinar soon and releasing information about that on the Discord and probably on my YouTube channel as well. And you guys can learn more about this Elliott wave and the Fibonacci relationships between them. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll see you in the podcast on Sunday. As always, stay profitable out there.